Hi guys, today I wanted to talk about a couple of changes that have come to epicseven, both in terms of the PC client, the packs, and kind of just the state of, it feels like, pack selling and content in general for epicseven. Let's get into it. The first thing we have to talk about is, well, the Epic Pass. If you were someone that played epicseven formerly, maybe at this point years ago, you may be familiar with the fact that Epic Passes were synonymous with, or were specifically designed for gaining additional rewards, sure, but also were typically infamous for giving you something like a skin or maybe a frame. With the new change to some of the Epic Passes, as far as I can tell, this has not been the case in a while. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we got a skin was a couple months ago at this point, and take a look at what has been replaced with the pass. Now, formerly, we'd probably get something similar like these blue boxes or the reforged materials alongside charms, but the main selling point for this pack is now these greater modification gem selection chests. And before you say to yourself, okay, well, what about if you decide to upgrade the pass to the Epic Pass? Well, now you're given mana stones, equipment selection chests, accessory selection chests, which is all things, or rather I should say, which are all things that are basically, or can all be condensed down to basically buying more gear. Now, you may think to yourself at this point, okay, well, Legendary Inheritance is an optional Epic Battle Pass, which, if you want to have it, you can have it. But never fear, we have Winter Holiday. Surely the Winter Holiday has something like a skin or, maybe a new frame at the very minimum. That's not the case either. Now, it is kind of nice, I guess, at the very beginning that if you decide to buy the premium rewards, you get these, you get these pair of boots, which, I guess you could use in some cases. It is pretty high quality. It's got 9.568. It's 42 equipment score. But as you continue to look through this entire list of, potential rewards, what do you notice missing? That's right. There's no frame. There's no skin. There's no illustration. There's nothing. It's summons, which I admit are quite impactful. They're nice. However, for a holiday event, this feels a little odd. Now, let me address the bigger elephant in the room, which is if these rewards or rather only costed 1,800, if these rewards only costed 1,800 skystones or something of that nature, then okay, you could argue that, well, you can buy them or you can purchase the additional rewards if you want to get ahead, or if you're a bit of a low spender, something like that. But that's where we actually have to go to today's bigger issue, if I had my camera, which is this costs $30. Yeah. Now, I was not mistaken. I was not, missing anything. This doesn't even come with an additional, pack reward in the same way that the Legendary Inheritance has this special rewards chest, which, by the way, in my opinion, is probably pretty low value anyways, unless you're like a serial gambler, I guess, like me. But take a look at this. For $30, which again is the exact same, you don't get anything. Quote unquote, don't get anything. You don't get anything, well, special. And that's kind of where I want to bring up today's video. Now, there have been plenty of people that have already complained about or vocalized or voiced their feedback specifically about this Epic Pass, and I have a couple things to mention. If you guys have watched my content for a long time now, you may be familiar with the fact that whenever I cover news or things of this nature, I've always advocated for more skins, for more cosmetics, unique illustrations, unique cosmetics in general, because that's what kind of gets players excited. After you've rolled like your 15th, 90 equipment score piece of gear that you don't use on any character, which I get is kind of like a whale concern, but in general, it feels nice when you get something unique. It feels nice when you get something like a new background. It feels nice when you get something like a frame. And especially since a majority of the player base hardly, if ever, even plays real-time arena and are mostly doing things like their dailies, using their energy, or, doing guild war, it would feel nicer if there was something that was more catered towards that, or, well, gave you a reward to kind of reflect that. Now, things like the sticker packs and things like that you can get on the, in this illustration and with the profile cards is nice, but they haven't addressed the whole, illustration or like the ordering of when the profile card comes in, which leads some players at the end of the season to completely hide their profile cards, which is like, okay. And then with this new Epic Pass concern, they decided to, well, take one of my suggestions, not mine specifically, but take a suggestion that's been given by the community, which is, hey, like, if you want to make some of the battle passes cost money, that's maybe understandable. However, the caveat to that was supposed to be that it would be in order to, let's say, sell a new skin. As far as we could tell from here, though, and although they may be doing things like testing at the moment, this is not what we meant by, hey guys, I'm going to spend $30 on an epic pass. If this was $30 for an epic pass and we got something like, I don't know, one of the new, like the shoe skin or any of the skins that we have in the shop, you know, you can go look through. But any of these skins, like, or some of these skins, you know, for like the $30, although it's a little bit more expensive, and I understand, like, you know, some concerns towards pricing skins at that high of a base, at least you feel as though you are buying something tangible. You're not buying something that's, or maybe tangible is the wrong word, but you're not buying something in the name of a gamble. Like, for what you're looking at specifically on screen right now, if you were to, for instance, buy the legendary inheritance chest, there's a very real chance that whatever you reset or whatever you get from these epic chests will be nonsense, trash, and then you'll throw it away. Again, if you're someone that gets lucky and you get amazing pieces, you get that 29 speeder, I'm so happy for you. Seriously, I am. However, to suggest or to insinuate that players should spend $30 for this pack is a little bit ridiculous. Now, for the legendary inheritance, I know that this pack has been around for a while and it seems more like a mainstay, but the bigger criminal here, or the bigger offense here, I would say is actually the winter holiday. For what reason is there not even a special reward track or a special reward option here? And instead, why are we given things like, oh, 3 to 4? The crazy thing is too is that it's not even like everything's like a 4 to 5 element summon. Even if you want to argue that that's like, ooh, you get a light or dark summon, that's gonna be so huge. We're given a 3 to 5 summon as one of our end rewards, and this is again something that you'd have to spend $30 on. In essence, you could argue that essentially you're suggesting that we should spend $30 for an Elson. Now, of course, there are other things on the track, including, you know, the charms, the blue boxes, the reforged materials, and other summons, which, again, are kind of nice, alongside, of course, the one piece of gear that we're being given. But, in my opinion, I don't feel that the Winter Holiday pack, specifically, is where you should be putting things like this into, or is where you should be putting rewards like this specifically. If you want to have a reoccurring battle pass that goes on constantly, like legendary inheritance, where you put in, you know, your once upon a time kind of gear or things of this nature, then by all means feel free to do so. But winter holiday is when you want themed festive rewards, and this is a missed opportunity, plain and simple. Now, there are other things that we need to talk about that are very concerning, and I do just kind of want to bring awareness to. Number one, the young Senya gear that we saw here. I believe I showed this in the young Senya showcase video that I did, which puts her at roughly like 20,000 HP, like 200 speed, and like 1300 defense. This pack, honestly, to say it's optimal is being a bit generous, I will say. And I'm someone that's also sometimes generous in the way that I describe things. However, if this pack seemed a little bit off to you, I understand. Now, if this was the only pack that they gave us access to for the holidays and stuff, and the other holiday rewards that we were given were better, well, okay, maybe it's a, if you want it, you want it, otherwise you don't need it, but you can use this to catch up. But take a look at the other packs that we have access to. We have got a new pack, which admittedly does cost a little bit less, specifically because they have the PC client discount. But before I even go into the PC client discount sort of mess, take a look at the things that you are purchasing here. Now, for $3, 10 leaves, 100 skystones, that's okay. That's pretty decent value. That's, you know, around the same value that you'd get from something like a Burning Passion pack. But since in recent times, basically every weekend is a Burning Passion weekend or something like that, well, you know, you may not find that much value in the leaves. But how about this $10 pack, this 4 to 5 star summon ticket? Well, it gives you the 2 Molagoras in addition, but there's something that I haven't talked about here, which is the Warm Hearts. Now, if the Warm Hearts were something exclusive for, you know, maybe like a skin, or if you're using it as like a skin ticket, then I can maybe understand how these are kind of impactful. But actually, these warm hearts are for this new event that we've got going on. And if you haven't seen it already, these are what you can get from the rewards. Basically, you perform this exchange, or you perform the exchange gifts button here and the special exchange tab, and look at everything that you could get from this, well, from this gift box. You can get things like reversion mana stones, you can get 1,000,000 gold, you can get Molagora, you can get gear, and beyond all these other exciting new, you know, I guess additions to the game, or, you know, benefits that you get from the game, you could also, and most likely, are going to get something like 100k gold, or maybe a generic leaf. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that these are bad things or that you shouldn't be doing the do good deeds or this winter activity. However, this is the first time that we've ever seen something like this be added to the store. This is something that, for all intents and purposes, if you want to get ahead, or if you want to run through the store, you're basically selling progression through the side story, or you're running through and selling, you know, added side story perks, which is not the biggest deal. However, I do want to bring awareness to this just because it feels very odd and out of left field for them to add things like this, especially because it's not as though you are, you know, you're selling like a unit to make warm hearts easier to farm out or something. You're just selling the currency in the shop. Not really sure where that is going, but in terms of value, obviously what you're seeing here is fine. Again, some of these values are, or some of the things in this pack are pretty good. Like having, you know, 4 to 5 summon tickets, if I'm not mistaken, this is 10 of these. It's kind of okay if you get, you know, 1 5-star out of the 10. For $10, this is probably not that big a deal, and Molagoras are pretty sparse. However, there are plenty of events nowadays that give you free summons, and they basically give a new event basically for any reason, and that'll give you additional covenant summons, they'll give you standard pull summons, whatever it is you want to call it, and that's totally fine. So I'm not even sure if necessarily the $10 is worth it. But let's now move to the Holiday Pack 3. Now, this is a pack that you guys are probably familiar with because, well, although it is only $50, it has the 17 speed gear that you guys might have been familiar with from the past. Now, I'll be the first to say it. I was a little bit concerned about selling pre-rolled gear, and it's been about a year, if I'm not mistaken, at this point, since they first introduced, I think, the original 17 speed gear pack. And honestly, keeping it at 17 does not really hurt anyone. This is 88 equipment score, or like 88 equipment score. And if you're someone that's just coming into the game for the first time and they want to sell gear, so long as it stops at 17, this gear is not necessarily enough, in my opinion, to warrant, you know, DEFCON 5 or Super Alarm, especially since it's been so long and they've kept the gear at this stage. Now, for $50, the gear might be worth it for you, especially if you're newer and someone that's willing to spend. But again, take a look at what else is in the pack. Now, while I do appreciate that gold can be nice, if you guys have been spending any of your amount of time or any time on epicseven farming recently, you probably have come across a lot of stigma. That's not to say that gold is useless. By no means am I going to say that, especially if you're someone that shop refreshes. But I wouldn't necessarily, you know, fluff up a pack by saying, here's additional gold to make this better. Now, gold aside, you do have the 10 modstone gems, and you do also have the mana stone selection chests alongside the warm hearts, you know, 8 of which you get. But there's one trait that binds all these 3 things together, and that's complete and utter RNG. Now, again, if you're familiar with, or if you take a look at the other packs that we talked about, yes, there are also other sources of RNG here. However, even for something like Skystones, or even for something like the Molagoras, you can always argue to some degree, or, you know, warrant, or I guess convince yourself that you're trying to make marginal gains on your account. However, if you guys haven't experienced the agony that is any of these 3 RNG aspects already, having a mana stone selection chest give you something that re-rolls into lower equipment score than what you had already quite literally feels like a scam. Not that it is necessarily, but it sure feels like it. And then these greater modification gem selection chests, let's just be honest, it's 2024, almost 2025. It's been, what, I think a year or 2 since these have come out, and there's no guarantee for, you know, there's no guarantee to increase whatever modification that you're trying to make or subs that you're trying to make to your gear. You are still 2 years or so after, you know, modstone gems have come out, not guaranteed to go from, let's say, +6 or, you know, 6 attack to 8 or 9. You are literally at the mercy of your account and Smilegate to roll into a high roll, and otherwise you're going to keep slamming like basically what 10, 15, maybe even 20 Modstone gems if you're really OCD and want to get the perfect reroll stat. And that to me makes some of these packs feel dishonest. Now, formerly, if you guys aren't familiar with what other packs of the past have looked like, a lot of them used to have things like, again, things like summons, which again is also RNG. However, at least in that case, you have the chance to get something super warping, like a Moonlight 5-star that you didn't have access to. This time around, though, this is very, very gear-centric, and although you are buying something like gear already, to have the gear be the only focus of the, like this pack specifically, feels a little weird, and personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. Now, here's where they decided to hide the rest of the pulls, and that's with pack 4 and 5. As you can see here, I actually had to buy pack 4 and 5 because, oh my god, Hwayoung. Anyways, but these packs do actually feel generally okay. Now, again, the Mystic Metal packs in general have always felt like you don't have a choice, and if you're someone that wants to spend or wants to get the new Mystic or, you know, Moonlight character, these packs are always going to have a little bit more value, and getting things like, again, you know, Awakening Elixirs, Molagoras, Slates, alongside Mystics, all just feels like a good package and is part of the reason why I bought this. But this is where most of the standard comes from. Having summons, having things that lead to significant increases in the value of your account feels amazing. However, pack 1 and 2 maybe don't necessarily do that, while pack 3, well, the gear is nice. However, as you're seeing right now, all these different packs feel a little bit different than the past. They are gearing more towards giving you more gear, which again, I understand is fine since they're separating it, but so long as they keep it right here or at this certain stage, I think things will be fine. However, in the future, I am a little bit concerned if they ever decide to, for whatever reason, bump this up, or what if, let's say for New Year's pack, instead of having things like this, they decide to only give you gear or give you another set. This isn't the first time they've sold gear, and if this is the main focus of not just the holiday packs but also the battle pass, as you saw previously, things could feel a little bit weird, because truth be told, I would much rather spend money on an illustration or a skin as my holiday pack 4 or my holiday pack 3, for instance. Now, beyond that, there is one final thing that we have to talk about. I get it. Apologies, this is getting a bit long in terms of the video, but you might have seen me hover over, or you know, you might have seen this little 3% thing down here. And if you aren't familiar with what this is the PC client discount. It's an offer that Smilegate themselves have introduced into the game, specifically so that you can get a discount when you're buying things via the client, and it's just to generate, you know, obviously incentivize people to now play on the client. However, this is a PSA to you. If you are, for whatever reason, purchasing things off of the PC client, there is a very reasonable chance that when you purchase something, there'll be an error or an issue, whatever you want to call it, and there will be a buyback, or they'll, like, your company may, or your bank account may try to refund what you just purchased, and that will lead to, well, Smilegate registering your purchase as a refund or like a buyback or a chargeback, and that will, well, temporarily, or technically temporarily, but in all actuality, if it was serious, it would ban your account for real. Now, again, there are people that are sending in tickets and stuff, and if you are someone that has had this affected, from what I understand, sending in a ticket to the customer service and explaining your situation will help, but there's no guarantee, and more than anything else, I feel like just the idea of having your account terminated or suspended for any reason is very risky. So while I'm not necessarily advising you to never spend money on the PC client, I'd probably wait a little bit until they announce, or they make an announcement regarding the PC client and the errors or issues that are going on. As far as I could tell, though, I haven't seen them say anything specifically about the PC client. If I just go through, I think, Opera right now, I'm gonna go through and just take a look real quick to see if they said anything. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, just a bunch of holiday stuff. But yeah, long story short, guys, I know, apologies again, I know this is a little bit long-winded, but I just wanted to talk about the packs and just in general the state of like content. once upon a time, we definitely had a lot of different skins. We had a lot of different small cosmetics, and we have had illustrations. I will give credit where credit is due. We've had illustrations throughout the year, which were really cool, and I've been a big fan of a lot of the background packs and things of this nature that we've been given. However, if an epic pass is only designed to give you gear or more of what you could have already gotten in the game if you just spent a bit more time, I don't really understand who they're trying to appeal to with these packs. People that are giga whaling were probably already buying out the shop entirely, and honestly, I don't even know if these packs or these battle passes will do anything for players that are 24/7, you know, buying out, you know, I guess blue boxes or buying out things from Hoochie Shop. And in that case, I don't know where the value from these packs is. I wish that they catered it a bit more to cosmetics or something more unique. However, I don't necessarily think that Winter Holiday has almost any justification whatsoever for it being what it is. It's a pair of shoes and some summons. Why? Anyways, though, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Sorry for the short rant. This is kind of like Christmas holiday week, so if things are a bit shorter in terms of content, apologies. I'll definitely get back to it, especially after the holidays. But I'll probably be, I don't know, maybe trying to showcase a few other characters. Happy holidays, though, to all you guys. I'll probably release another video, maybe showcasing another character. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. I know some of you guys hate the yap stuff, and I apologize, but it was something I wanted to talk about, and so I made a video on it. If you enjoyed this sort of content, feel free to watch the next one, or stay tuned for the next one. Otherwise, I hope you learned something, or I hope you gained something from the video otherwise. Thanks again for watching, though. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.